everybody. Welcome to the show. Hit that like, share the show, all that kind of stuff. It's Hal Sparks Mornings, Megaworldwide. Specifically, Hal Sparks Mondays, Megaworldwide. The best kind of Monday you could possibly experience. And by the way, I'm just going to jump straight in here. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Hit the like, share the show, etc., etc. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. Friday night, Flappers. Comedy show for our Patreon supporters. I don't put any of the news-related stuff behind a paywall. I think that's a dick move for people to do. Either you're here to share the information and educate people, or you're not. And all that stuff is out in the open thanks to our Patreon and our Super Chat supporters and all that kind of stuff. So I'm never going to hide any of that important stuff by the wall. The only thing I will do is the optional art stuff, which is, maybe you can't live without
Fun stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, who's
you
that?
You can live without it, but your life will be more grim if you don't have it.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first guest this morning, Cliff Schechter, host of Cliff's Edge on the U and the Tube. Subscribe today. There's the URL below it. It's at Cliff's Edge, and there's an underscore between Cliff's and Edge because he's cool like that.
We are 50 short of 70,000. You could be one of the 50. That puts us over the top.
Very exciting. I'm almost at 70,000 too. I think that's our normal number road. At that point, we got a rising tide must lift all boats, and you and I both need our 100K YouTube silver thing that you get when you get.
Let's get. I think we're on our way there. So let's make that happen. I think by election day. I think we set a goal.
Before we got on the air, and hi chat room, by the way, love you guys. Before we got on the air this morning, you and I, as we do, started discussing sort of the news versus views versus infotainment versus interweb independent media versus all these people who, as InfoWars started falling apart, started to run in to scoop up what was left of the Alex Jones money-making machine. And I've made the case before that Russell Brand is the hippie Alex Jones, and Joe Rogan has become the bro Alex Jones. And you made a good case about Glenn Greenwald being kind of like the
self-hating. I didn't leave the left left me, Alex Jones. You know what I mean? Like
the gay Dershowitz Alex Jones.
Exactly. Right. And I just thought of another one, which I don't think we covered, which is Megyn Kelly is leaned into being the female Alex Jones.
Yeah,
she's got that huge audience. She's completely lost her mind and says out of this world crazy shit.
Yeah, the white female Alex Jones, because there is a black female Alex Jones, which is Candace
Owens. There's so many different brands now. It's true. We have to separate from. I'm sure there'll be a Latina one soon, and there'll be who knows what'll come from. But yes.
I think, and Tim Pool's the short bald otaku, Alex Jones.
He's the I like my borscht with $100,000 checks, Alex Jones.
Right. Yeah. No, look, Cliff, come on. He was given $100,000 to shoot some cute, non-political videos that had no call to action, no product being sold, and no floor for how few viewers could watch them. And they paid him $100K a video for each one of them, sight unseen.
4 a month. He only had to do 4 a month, so $400K a month.
Yeah, and
what's amazing about them is all he had to do was insult his own country and repeat the kinds of things that they were saying on RT. So why would anybody question that and think that that was weird? I mean, that seems like a totally normal, healthy economic ecosystem.
Well, I would like to introduce people to the concept in media of what I would call bank shot money laundering. So what that is that I'm not paying for your presidential campaign. I'm buying lots of your weird crypto NFTs. I'm not paying for your look, I don't support you as a political candidate. This is not about politics.
You suck. Hey, those golden sneakers look great, Donnie. Yeah. Oh, and you're what people that really were actually Christian, but not sort of calling themselves evangelical and in a cult would be offended by Bible with freaking stuff stuck in there, your Post-its and whatever the hell else that makes it not the Bible. Right, that too. That's also basic. And more recently, there's bobbleheads of him with he's got the ear. He's got the ear pad on. And
I support those though, because those aren't official Trump merch. Those are someone, making a bunch of Chinese knockoff crap to suck money out of Maggot World. And I can't.
And that's good. Have you seen Trumpy Trout?
Who am I? Oh yeah.
Have you seen Trumpy Trout? Tony Michaels and I did a bit on that, and I put the video up. It's really funny. I've got a new video coming out, so easy to promote, on Melania's promotion of her book using art. Not the fact that she was a first lady, but using her nude modeling that she says she has to defend because everybody's attacking, even though like none of us have fucking said anything about it in years, if we ever said anything about it at all. And in that, I just did a broader look at, obviously, I made fun of her and had fun, and Laura Trump trying to be a singer when she should be raising money. But all of the various griftiness around them, when they should all be actually paying attention to a presidential campaign, all the things they're all trying to sell. They're just the grossest, gauchest, griftiest family.
Yes, I agree. First of all, one thing is Randy Cat in our chat said if those people are all the variant Alex Joneses we came up with, Randy Cat said, what is Snowden? I would argue dead. Because I think his Twitter feed and all that stuff that it's purportedly from him is either run by a bot farm or specifically an AI chat bot they created that they turn on and off.
Well, I'll put it this way.
I don't think the dude's alive.
What he is, and this is important, is he's two things. One, he's either dead, as Hal is saying, or he's living like what's the gentleman or whatever, the one with Ewan McGregor after the Russian Revolution, where still live in the hotel and he can't leave. That's what Snowden's doing. He's living in a facility where he's not allowed out and whatever, and they just tweet under his name and use him for propaganda. The second thing he is that people missed was one of the first major Russian ops against us. That I always said, if the NSA was doing things and were stepping beyond the boundaries, we needed to know. But I also knew people on the other side of this, people so exaggerated what he gave and lied about it. There were people I knew that were undercover, well, one in specific I can think of, who had to actually go into hiding because Snowden didn't bother to redact anything and shared it all there. So Greenwald, I think, got, let's call it compromised when he went to Moscow and they had stuff on him. And to sum it all up, he was one of Putin's, just like the Ron Paul 2008 campaign that suddenly got like millions of views online, and the buying off of the EU political and media class so they could get all this fake press, positive statements around going into Crimea. Like these were the early sort of Russian ops to see what they could do.
The trial runs.
And whatever. And Snowden, it's so obvious now that Snowden was one of those. And we had so many people on the left who were clearly so any skepticism that you offered, which again, I said that if there were abuses going on, we needed to know about them. But some of the stuff he was releasing was dangerous, and that I needed to know more about him, who he was, before I was just going to sit there and call him a hero. And of course, there are people on the left who just couldn't handle that. The far left who were like, you were a traitor immediately, and
right. First of all, I have no problem not tap dancing around this. Fuck him and fuck his whole myth. Let me explain something to the folks.
I want to be clear. I don't back then I don't because I don't want to say I never tap danced as in like
No, I'm not accusing you of doing it. I'm saying other people certainly do, or other people in the audience might do that. I just want to clarify something. I want to explain something.
Well, can I just say this one thing, which is what I was saying is I was trying to figure out who he was back then. Yeah. And I was saying I was honestly sharing both the positives and the negatives that I was seeing about him. And I'm saying it became more and more clear the negatives were accurate, but I never pulled punches on it. I just didn't do what so many people did who immediately jumped out with no, evidence and just like, he's a hero and blah, 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 blah on the left. I came out and said what I thought, which is he could be a hero or a traitor. A lot of stuff coming out is harming us, and it's getting closer to the second part. Go ahead.
He's 100% a traitor, and what he released ultimately was not what we heard that he released. The PRISM program that everybody talked about was a government prototype of an available software that is sold on the open market between Google and all these other sites upended, that the government could literally buy things from these, like companies to companies, multinational corporations could buy in and out of the United States your private data, but the federal government could not do it themselves until they could. And so they created their own version of it in case they had to do a sweep post 9/11, post all those kind of stuff. And they had only piloted this situation around situations like January 6th. And the reason the people were pushing back on it from the right was because they were planning something like January 6th. And they knew they could do a a cell phone sweep in an area around a major attack, or indeed around, say, the BLM riots, and differentiate the difference between people who are protesting and people who are opening fire into the crowd. And that's an important part of modern society.
It's exactly like the same reason why.
Right.
And again, this has been exposed as Russian talking points, which we all knew, right? But the Matt Taibbi's and Glenn Greenwalds and all these guys who scream about and
censorship, industrial
mainstream right-wing figures who scream about censorship now, same deal. Because they know if we don't let their asset, Elon Musk and others, just allow the Russians to share disinformation, they're at a disadvantage. Right. They want to make sure they couldn't give two shits about free speech. It's about making sure that disinformation can be shared anywhere, anytime. And they've been locked out now by Meta and by TikTok, who just locked out Russia. So now it's they're losing platforms.
So here's a couple of things. Like we in our kind of start of speaking about these kind of things, and like I said, let me be abundantly clear. Snowden may have been a useful idiot early on and then turned into a malevolent actor, or a malevolent actor from the start, or whatever. We'll never know his motivations because he's never going to leave Russia the rest of his life. But I do know, and you do too, obviously, but some folks might not, that Glenn Greenwald magically bounces him through China and drops him off in Moscow and acts like, oops, we were going to fly him to Italy, but the plane...
We just got stuck in the airport, man.
Got stuck in fucking Moscow. Never happens. Never would happen. Right. The dumbest plan ever. And the idea that you fly him directly to our main adversary in the world is, it's just fucking silly. Anyways, point being...
My guess is that they'd sent him some encrypted crap, Greenwald, which he didn't even know how to use at that time, because he had been making a name as just a pain in the ass scourge of attacking everything, because he is... I knew him quite well personally, so I can speak more than I can with some of these people. He is somebody who has all the traits of a MAGA guy. He is dishonest. He sympathizes more with, resentful, angry white men. He'd already defended a white supremacist in court and said unbelievable, nasty things about the NAACP and whatever. That was in his lawyer life. And then he came to Twitter Twitter too, but came to his blog and all that, and started getting some fame as like this writer criticizing the government. Well, that's because Bush happened to be in office, and he realized, oh, well, everybody seems to like me. So he moved to the left because that was where
same thing Taibbi
at that
did.
time. But the minute that it made sense for him, the minute that Obama was elected, and that happened to coincide with Putin starting some of his ops, magically, Glenn became like one of the biggest critics of Obama and pretended to hide. It was just me being honest, the fierce, honest journalist who criticizes both sides. And I criticized Bush, so I have to criticize Obama. But of course, the stuff he said about Obama wasn't true. Was 5 times. He always made it 5 times worse.
And his criticisms of Bush were pedestrian. Again, something that was already being covered by everybody else. There was plenty of cover for that kind of stuff. It's the same shit that Dershowitz did and does. Is this idea that he uses...
You could see it moving, the goalposts moving to the point of where you're exactly right. By the time and my guess is that whether maybe it was that encrypted shit, who the hell knows? But just like the Republicans never shared the RNC emails that they got by hacking. And so we know they know so many of these guys' secrets and own them. I'm sure with that decryption stuff, whatever it was, they busted into Glenn's system. And it's out there. I'm not making anything up here. Glenn had a sex tourism and porn business in Brazil before he did what he did. And I'm sure there were things with... Let's say there seems like that he didn't meet his
Diddy
husband
on the same
timeline. There were some underage, yes, very Diddy. There were some people that weren't quite of age, it would seem, and if the Russians have that and threaten to push that out there, who knows where it goes from
again,
that. So,
I've always been a big believer in they do two things with those kind of people, and that's why the QAnon pedophilia storyline became so big, is because it effectively is this run cover idea for, Democrats do this, but the fact is they've got so many of these Republicans on a leash because of what they like, or people that they flipped over time, be it Glenn or Scott Ritter. And part of the way they do it is by, we've got video of you and we'll release it and you're fucked if we release it. But the other side is, if you play nice, we'll provide you with the thing that you like.
Here's all this money. It's like a carrot and a stick. That works best of all.
I would say even beyond money. I'd say Scott Ritter, they fly him to Russia so he can partake, is what I mean. That they deliver
And I would say
whatever your sickness is, they will deliver your sickness to you as a reward. There is a carrot and a stick.
Yes, and in Glenn's case, again, I can speak from personal experience, knowing him. Again, wish I didn't know. I mean, it's not like we were good friends. I'd see him at conferences. We talked, we emailed, we did whatever. And they also, as they always, what's the acronym? It's MICE. For the 4 ways they turn people. I'm trying to think what each of them stands for, but essentially it's
money.
They get these guys with money, women, ego, and power, I guess. And in Glenn's case, he's got such a ridiculous ego that even somebody disagreeing with him about the smallest point in the left, he would like excoriate and lose his mind. So I'm sure the ego played a part in it too. The ego, the money, the compromat, the whatever.
Right.
So and then again, there's many others. Not to just concentrate on them. Obviously, this investigation more recently revealed. I mean, it's in the very infrastructure, and we just don't want to say it out loud. That the NRA is dirty with it. TPUSA, which Benny Johnson is a part of, is clearly owned by it. Numerous of these Christian right sort of faith breakfast garbage things are owned by them. They've infiltrated all of these places. We've caught them in a lot of cases, and still nobody wants to really talk about it.
Yeah, I've always been a big believer. I've always been a big believer in the idea that one of the reasons why evangelicals in particular want more prayer in schools and Christianity in schools is because their version of the churches keeps failing. That their kids are not learning any of those values in their churches because their churches are being used as like multi-level marketing schemes instead of actual churches. And so they go, we got to teach these kids how to pray in school because they're certainly not learning it on Sunday. I'm like, if you want them to learn, live it and they will pick it up, but they can't.
The sad thing is, I would say, if you see the people that keep track of, every day putting up, I mean, it really is every day, of some new pastor somewhere who was busted for molesting this person or this kid or that kid. It's not just a multi-level marketing scheme. It certainly is that. It is also a grooming scheme, which is why, of course, they try to use that word against us,
everybody else,
because what they're doing at these places is they're finding their victims, their targets, and they're able to do that. So you're right. They're not teaching them to pray; they are preying on them. Which would be the distinction there. So, of course, they need schools to actually maybe teach them some Jesus while they're doing God knows what.
There are a couple of areas that and I'm sure you dealt with this as well, never had intended to stick my nose into or have to study up on or any of those things.
90% of this business?
Right, because like beyond the, and I'm not just talking about the grossness of the Trump, Diddy, Epstein lifestyle crossover, which is nasty. But I mean like certain economic theory and that kind of stuff. Like the idea that I would get into, currency and its and like international currency exchanges and the balancing of what a currency is and all that kind of stuff is like, I have no interest in that on the baseline. But the fact that I think the Trump world plays on that ignorance so strongly has made me have to dive in and study this stuff. You're right. In such a way that because first of all, it doesn't sound right. And then second, thank God, again, Trump is such a moron and that everything he says is so overtly stupid sounding that I think if anybody even slightly smarter, and I would give JD Vance even this kind of credit, is that he can talk about things and it sounds a little bit more like he knows what he's talking about, even though he clearly doesn't.
Oh, definitely. I'd say most of these guys, which is why in that way, Trump is a gift because he literally almost tells you he's lying before he lies.
Well, a good example.
I mean, he sort of.
Yeah, a good example is this crypto exchange that everybody's talking about this morning, where Trump says crypto has a great future and we might pay off the debt with it. But I want people to hear Trump's answer. One of these crypto bros asks this question, this dude with the brown beard and the blonde hair with the OnlyFans model as his date. By the way, right next to the dude in the American flag pants and the Trump getting shot 3 times flag tie that he's got on, and a yellow gold...
Make America gauche again, baby.
Yeah, a yellow... It's a gold MAGA hat that means he is a bundler or he is a precinct captain or some shit like that. But he just bought it there, let's be honest. You can buy the yellow ones and you don't even have to show up for the fucking job. But whatever. This guy asked this question like, what do you think? He goes, God forbid you lose. What do you think the future of crypto is? And again, Trump doesn't hear the God forbid you lose part. He just hears I'll say, play.
I'm curious what you think the future of crypto looks like if, God forbid, you don't win the election.
So the future of crypto, if God forbid you don't win the election, that's the key. So, right. And then Trump just hears the future of crypto.
What does it look like? Well, I think it's a good future. You know, who knows about anything today? But I think it's a good future. I'll tell you what, you look at values, you look at what's happening and where it's come and where it came from.
So far, so good. Wait.
Yep, so far he's speaking Trump like a pro.
It really does. Maybe we'll pay off the $35 trillion in crypto. I'll write out a little piece of paper, 35 trillion crypto. We have no debt. Right?
That's how it works, Joe.
He likes that idea too. He's laughing. Yes.
Yeah. No, he's not laughing because he likes the idea. He's laughing because it's fucking stupid. He's laughing because he thinks you're joking. And so how many times have you seen Trump do this whole thing?
Who's the guy? Was it somebody sitting up front who was laughing?
No, it was the guy who asked him the question. But a bunch of them
I think what they do
laughing.
is they start off laughing because they can't believe that he just actually said what he said because it's so fucking dumb. Yeah. I've seen this in a number of these rallies. But then they keep laughing because Trump then starts laughing because they're laughing. Right. And then they feel like they have to keep laughing or they'll offend Trump. So it starts off as
right.
Great joke, man. You can't fucking be serious. What? Yeah. And then it continues as, oh shit, he's serious. And like, I want to make money off of this guy like everybody else. I want in on the grift. So they keep laughing and, pretend that he's funny. That's how it often seems to go.
Yeah, I also think I genuinely think they don't know when he's kidding.
I agree too. They have no idea. So
yeah. And then when and so it's too late. If they immediately go, oh fuck, what? Like if their face does that, they know they're in trouble with the room full of sycophants that they're surrounded by, and so they just go.
Now you may have right. They do that, and the important context here, and you may have already explained this because again, you said you've learned about this smart guy who wants to explain things to people. I try to do the same here. I never had the slightest fucking interest in international currency. Trust me, not at all. I even out of college worked on Wall Street for a year. Oh my God, how I did that! And just stayed away from the currency shit. I was interested in the stock market a bit. That's it, and even that. Okay, but once you understand how reserve currencies work and how countries that have their anchor currency is the dollar, and you'll start hearing magically certain countries get talked about a lot. Like right now, they love El Salvador because the guy came in, locked everybody up. And said he wants to switch over to Bitcoin. So he's like their golden god. But it also, you have to look at who all the players are, and that's how you know behind the scenes how much more connection there is between Elon Musk and his group of the Silicon Valley authoritarians. They used to be known as like libertarians 10, 20 years ago. Peter Thiel, I think, helped convert a lot of them over to authoritarianism because they realized they don't really care about anybody who's different than them. They have no sympathy for anybody else. Peter Thiel is gay, but feels comfortable. None of his people will come after him for that. So fuck all the rest of the people like him. He doesn't care. So the authoritarianism part is that we can get rich, kind of like what the Russians did off of the assets of their country and plundered it. We can get rich off of if we control government, which is why he tried to place that loser from Arizona there, who's now running for Congress, Masters, who lost the Senate race, which is why he wanted to get Vivek Ramaswamy, who's another one of his people who lost, but he did get J.D. Vance there, and that's why J.D. Vance is on the vice presidential ticket. What they want to do is massively destabilize the dollar, which will harm all sorts of people. And the key to that is so that countries, most notably the United States, if they can pull it off, but many other countries like El Salvador will then switch over and have their reserve currency be Bitcoin. And that way, oh, wow, magically this guy who just started this Bitcoin exchange, it goes up through the roof. He's not just starting that based on a risk. There's a plan there. Now, the plan hopefully isn't going to work because his ass is going to get kicked in the election. And hopefully after that, at some point, maybe, just maybe, as a country, when we have big enough majorities and not Merrick Garland as Attorney General, we'll come together and say Elon Musk is a danger to the very fabric of this country. He's a danger to our national security. The fact that this guy is a contractor and is writing things on Twitter, encouraging assassinations and things of that sort. And he will properly be smacked down, and they'll look at Twitter as what it should be, either a utility or something that certainly cannot be owned by a foe of the United States who's sending tanks to generals in Chechnya and is in bed, or his stupid, cyber truck, and is basically in bed with the Russians. And I think they all see this, so Trump needs to win, so he and David Sachs and the other little sycophants can all make, it's kind of like what we talked about, carrot and stick. One side, Trump wins, purposely destabilizes our currency. Bitcoin, they become even wealthier and have more control over this country. The other side, he loses, and maybe we get a DOJ with some teeth and a Homeland Security Department with some more teeth, and they start looking more into the activities of the Elon Musks and David Sachses of the world, and some of these Silicon Valley traders have to pay the price for what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things we talked about earlier with the whole, who's going to pick up the Alex Jones slack is that to some degree, you could argue that Elon Musk has sought to become the tech bro Alex Jones with Twitter. Now, that said, one of the things that goes along with Candace Owens and Joe Rogan's newfound belief that we didn't land on the moon and that the earth is flat, I'm not kidding. And sort of the follow-on.
There's no old conspiracy theory that can't be recycled if it can.
No.
It's like they know certain ones are in people's DNA, kind of like Trumping. Like, if I lose, it's probably mostly because of Jews.
Right.
You go back to the good old-fashioned tropes, the ones that have worked for you forever, those conspiracies, and you rehash them because it gets you power.
Well, here's the issue that I think they run into. Is that there is no version of we didn't go to the moon and the earth is flat and we don't really go to space where Elon Musk is not implicated now. Right? That is the awkward truth. When he was just in electric cars, it had been one thing. Which would be he's just cashing in on the climate change thing, but he doesn't really believe it. That's how they got around the electric car thing coming from him. But the fact that SpaceX is such a big player in space, and that it's a government.
Republicans, a number of these right-wing Republicans helped him and one of their big things was privatizing, NASA assets so that it would become a private, which is insane. Again, how we allowed so much of this shit to happen. So that anybody having the power over space, this is a fucking James Bond movie. I don't care. Jeff Bezos just seems to actually be a libertarian asshole who's not trying to purposely, harm people on the left like Elon Musk is, and doesn't seem to be in bed with Russians. He just seems to not give a fuck as long as he gets richer and isn't regulated. But the fact that we would hand over space to basically Bezos and to Musk is fucking insane. And then you add in, this as you said, this background profile of these guys and what we know about them and who some of their companies got major loans from, and the fact that Tesla to sell relies on the Chinese market, for example. So they have huge leverage over him. There's just a lot of authoritarians that have a lot of leverage over these guys. And it had to be bribery. Seriously. It has to be a scandal of some sort because nobody objective. Well, it's kind of like when you looked at Kushner, and the initial people would be like, "You fucking serious? We're not giving that guy security clearance." But then they made sure that some people were threatened or bribed enough, probably threatened because they had the White House at the time. So it happened. If they don't have the White House at the time or whatever, I'm guessing it's through bribery. But whoever it was that allowed Musk to gather so much power over the space program, it's fucking insane. Yeah. He's not well mentally. Well, he's obviously compromised, in numerous ways by numerous authoritarian countries. It's crazy.
In Russia's case, his primary aluminum supplier for Tesla is Russia. His big gigafactory is in China. That is.
Can I say? So there's that. And can I say one more thing, which is a connection? There was a House member. A Republican House member who led the charge on privatizing the space program. Do you know who that was? Former House member? It If you don't, it's okay, because I didn't until I was reading about it the other day, is a guy named Dana Rohrabacher. Do you remember him having any connections at all, perhaps, to Russia? Well, he's the one that Musk worked with. So, I can't find enough dots to fucking connect here.
Right. And again, if my favorite part of this, because I love when, I love me some physics. And one of the greatest things about, sort of, your baseline understanding of physics and how you can, check the velocity of something and for with which it left and the gravity, you can see the arc into where it's going to land. You can calculate out that eventually it is going to hit the ground, and by how much force it launched, how hard and how far away.
And with Elon's rockets, every other one seems to hit the ground before it actually makes it to space. So that's kind of nice too.
Right, which brings us to Russia's rockets as well. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I've been watching these two kind of Alex Jones trends that are happening in the right-centric maggot InfoWars crowd that is, again, Joe Rogan and Candace Owens and leftover people from the Daily Wire and, remnant people, and whoever gets kicked off of Crowder or Jimmy Dore or whatever. They're all arcing in this one direction.
And these various other losers that were tied to some of these far-right channels that leave and do their own thing, or they were at one of the magazines, but they got too radical even for something like the National Review. So they leave and, they start a
and they are on a trajectory that is going to...
It's the easiest thing in the world to do. Just make shit up, have the barest minimum of charisma and on-camera presence, and just make shit up that scares the fuck out of people, and you will have an audience of 500,000 overnight. It's just not difficult.
I gotta say, I feel like it's like... in the case of Rogan, it's just stuff to listen to while you're baked. And none of it has to matter. There is such this.
I could see myself doing that in college just so I'd laugh. Is maybe listening to that asshole and laughing at it. Sure.
Art Bell. That's his Art Bell tendencies, right? But the point is, I'm saying that I'm watching from a distance. I'm watching these two rockets headed towards a collision course. It is a slow motion train wreck that they cannot avoid, which is Elon Musk is involved in the space program, and anybody involved in the space program is hiding the fact that the Earth is flat. And those two things are headed towards each other in such a wonderfully explosive way. 43 days or 42 days from the fucking election. Again, you couldn't create a more like a neutering storm for right-wing media if you wanted to. Speaking of which, and I want to show you this real quick. This is DJT stock this morning. It is $12.70.
Oh my God! I thought it already had crashed. What the?
Yeah.
That trend line is like one of Elon Musk's rockets.
Well, it's like,
except for it never went up. It just sort of sat on the ground for a while and then blew up through the earth.
Well, last Thursday at midnight, Trump and the rest of the initial investors have the right to sell the stock, right? So they can get out now. And Friday, Trump said he's not leaving. So that kept it relatively buoyant during that time. But everybody else, especially the people
everybody should remember too. Okay, let me let you finish, and I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So he got sued earlier this year. And I wanted to show everybody, but if you'll see, this is read the entire time, and this is a new thing.
Was he sued for misrepresenting?
Yes.
Because I got to be honest with you, we are at a point now where I almost feel like if you're an investor and you have enough money to invest in this kind of shit, and you haven't figured out who Donald Trump is, I really feel a lot like, I'm not like this with most things, but I really feel a lot of caveat emptor. It's not that I don't want Trump to suffer the consequences. I just don't think you get to say, I mean, I know he did that to everybody at Trump University and got fined $25 million. And I know that Trump ties and Trump steaks and Trump water were complete shit. And I know that he built the Taj Mahal and spent way too much and did something that was masterful even in the casino industry, which is he found a way to take a business where people hand you over money for nothing and usually sit all night, sadly, some of them addicted, in a room where they pump oxygen, give you free drinks, have no windows, have no clocks, so you don't know what the hell's going on in the outside world, and you just keep gambling. And he found a way to turn that into a fucking bankruptcy, like everything else. Like, I mean, I know it's like we know all of that, but you know what? I think, and then the political scandal since then. Oh, he automatically signed you up for recurring contributions, even though you didn't ask.
Yeah.
And he took that money from the inauguration. We still don't know where it went. He stole it and put it somewhere else. But I think I'm going to trust him by putting my money in Trump.
Well, I gotta say,
his stock. I think Trump's stock makes a lot of sense, and I really. Again, I have to feel at this point that if you've seen all of that, if you've been alive and had a functioning cerebral cortex, arguable that people in MAGA do not have that. There's definitely some issues around firing neurons and maybe corpus callosum in the middle there cut in half, or who knows. But assuming, I always think of the movie Waterboy, where it's like, his mom explains alligators are just in a very bad mood because they're angry. And nothing to do with the amygdala. But point being, if you've seen all this, I'm sorry, I know I'm going off on a rant here, and I'll shut up in a second, Al. But I just could not do this, because if you've seen all this and you still trust this guy, I kind of feel like you deserve to lose your money. I really do.
Oh, yeah, no question. I would also like to say I know precisely why they think this way, is because they are all using the same off-label functioning nootropics that fuck up your impulse control and turn you into an idiot gambler, which is what SBF, the Sam Bankman-Fried, was using. He was using like Parkinson's meds as brain nootropics, and they destroy your impulse control. They make you incapable of rational judgment. Trump has been blazing rails of this shit his fucking life.
On Adderall, some of these guys are not taking prescribed amounts. So don't think I'm criticizing. Right. I'm not. I'm talking about he's sitting there, with 20 milligram pills of this shit and probably putting down 12 of them.
Yes. Well, and again, snorting it as opposed to taking it as in the recommended dose. And let me be abundantly clear: if you need ADHD drugs because you have ADHD, that means your field of vision, attention-wise, is wide fucking open. You are wall-eyed in your experience of the world, and those drugs bring your focus back into a normal range.
That's why I want to be clear. Those are necessary, and I'm not criticizing. There are people who get that prescribed, and it should be. But that's not what he's doing. That's not what happens. Donald Trump probably is ADD and needs a prescribed amount. Instead, he takes like 10 times that amount. No,
I don't. Here's the thing. Donald Trump doesn't have ADD. Donald Trump doesn't care. There's a difference between having no focus and just following your impulses. He has no impulse control because it's all about him. That's an ego thing.
Well, it's a good point that there's other
function.
The narcissism and the sociopathy may be the things, and not ADD, that give him the lack of impulse control and it's all about me, and never being able to focus. He's in that
glass box that you see everywhere now, because the bulletproof box was just the perfect place for a man with the attention span of a fucking goldfish. But what I was saying is that when you shorten your attention span when you have ADHD and you take those drugs, it normalizes your focus so you can get shit done. When you don't have it, it hyper focuses it to the exclusion of any information that might convince you otherwise in a legitimate sense. And it makes you a bigot. It makes you a racist. It makes you gullible to kind of flat earth kind of conspiracy shit, because any information that would go, but here's 100% why that doesn't work, you just knock away because it doesn't fit.
And also add that to narcissism, and you get the reason why he falls for, everybody knows, be the last one in his office and flatter him, because he doesn't remember, like a goldfish, as you said, he doesn't remember what happened 30 seconds earlier.
Right.
So if you're the last one in the office and you have the ridiculous idea and you flatter the shit out of him, and that gets them all excited as a narcissist, you've conquered everything. Right. I have a question, which is, do you think that the bulletproof glass has a class action suit of its own because of the stink that it has to hold in?
Sure. Well, it will start to warble at some point.
I'm sorry,
it'll start to bubble
to.
out. Yeah, it'll start to bubble out or whatever. Has a class action lawsuit. The people who have to clean the inside of it.
Bubble out, like it'll burn probably. It'll at some point.
Just melts around him because of the stench. But the people who have to clean it so that you can actually see through the kind of hazy grossness that comes out of his system.
I hope they have some long distance sort of Lysol squirts and shit like that, so they don't have to get anywhere close. Like, they need to get one of those, where they can shoot it 20 feet. And I think in today's age of technology, we could do that for these poor people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. Well, and so
I know. Side note: we can get back to the real stuff, but
No, it is real. That is, my favorite secondary thing, and let's see if I can find this, is JD Vance. If you want to talk about like how much the stuff costs versus how much shit actually works. And JD Vance went to a grocery store to be the stunt human for Donald Trump, which is moronic. And he makes this point that when
did he
Harris took
interact
office,
with people like he was buying donuts, or was he able to effectively say things like, "Hi, how are you? How much does that cost? What's going on? You having a good day?" Was he able to pull some of that out, or was it more like, "Hello,
it was magic.
I like
Okay.
donut. Donut
First
cost
of all,
what?"
First of all, let's look at the egg stock in this particular store. For those of you that can't see, the yellow, the green, the white, the plain cardboard, the other white ones below, the white over here, and then he is holding a tray of 24 eggs. He's holding it in the big trays, okay? So this is not just the carton egg. These are multiple trays you can buy from the bottom part of that freezer. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that they got plenty. They're good. The store's not going to run out of eggs anytime soon. So any cost
they've gotten
element,
a little more expensive because of the avian flu, and so what these guys are doing is they're trying to pretend like that this it's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's plan.
right?
They
On top of that,
egg whites.
it's even worse
Because
than
Kamala
that.
Harris is black, she hates egg whites, and what she's doing is she's trying to raise the cost for you working class Americans. Wink, wink.
Right.
Only
Because
working class
she's used
Americans
to
equals white.
welfare. She's used to like welfare taking care of,
getting
her
big
payments for
stakes,
things.
like Ronald Reagan said, with the welfare checks and all that,
Right.
living high on the hog, and all that. Right.
He makes this. So the Trump War Room puts out eggs when Kamala Harris took office were short of $1.50 a dozen. Now, again, when she took office, we're still in the middle of the pandemic, and you just couldn't get them. It wasn't even the price of them; it was the availability. There was no one working in the plants. If you could get them, they were at the standard price, but nobody was going anywhere. Anyways, and restaurants were buying them in bulk because most people were staying home and not buying them anyway. Because now a dozen eggs will cost you around $4 thanks to Kamala Harris's inflationary policies. It's because she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Explosion Act. Now, couple of things. One is don't stand in front of a carton of eggs selling for $2 right there if you're going to say that eggs cost $4.
Oh my God! Can you please send me this image so I can use it for some? Well, actually, we'll probably grab this, and this will have to be one of our videos because this is just perfect.
Also, the $4 eggs that he's talking about, they're about $4, are the organic large eggs. That's the point. People are more willing.
Soon he's going to show up and he's going to be like, look, I have a pterodactyl egg that now costs $20, and that's because of Kamala Harris.
Yeah. Quail eggs, when Kamala Harris took office, quail eggs were $8 a dozen, and now this Fabergé egg costs me over $6,000. Like, it's that fucking stupid.
You see these beautiful fish eggs? Do you know what they cost when I eat them as when I eat them as my appetizer?
Yes.
They're
now you can't.
Here, I want to. Yeah, go ahead.
Caviar itself is gone. The price of caviar is gone. And anyways, his son hands him in the middle of this 24 egg thing, and he goes, "We don't need." He goes, he's complaining about the cost in the video, and he says these kids eat about 14 eggs every morning. He says that they've got 3 or 4 kids, and he goes, they eat about 14 eggs every morning. And then
3 kids eating 14 eggs is you're pushing it there, pal. That's
it's a lot.
Protein in eggs is good, but the cholesterol there, I want to wish you luck with that.
Well, cholesterol is no longer a nutrient of concern according to the American Heart Association. I just want to let everybody know it hasn't been since 2015.
Yes.
But and eggs aren't the source of it. You can't consume it and fill it up. That's the same science.
So now
that
you're making me look dumb. You're making me look like JD here.
Yeah, this is the same science that gave you drinking blood will replace it after you've been cut.
I have eggs I'm a big egg guy just because the protein, you work out, it's good stuff.
It is. Meanwhile, he says these kids eat about 14 eggs a day. He says that in this video thing. And then his son has handed him a 24 eggs. Okay. He goes, we're not going to buy 24 eggs. At the end of it, like, put this back. Essentially,
they eat 14 a day. That's not going to even last them 2 days.
Right. Why not? Obviously, they're having a sale. The other thing, too, is is that if you go to Costco, you'll recognize, and by the way, Costco, big with the maggots. If you go to Costco, you're going to see a ton of maggots in the parking lot.
Why? That's interesting, because they were the ones who always paid better and had benefits. It's Walmart that tends to be.
Well, that's the Santa Claus
World.
version of it. Same thing. It depends on what they have available. But believe me, this asshole shops at Costco. I guarantee it, or Sam's Club.
No, I'm not saying.
One.
I'm just saying Costco always was known, at least in the past, for treating their workers
well.
better.
Right. But the cost of eggs there, you can buy for like, I want to say $6, $8. You can buy 4 dozen eggs in a stack. It's fucking crazy. And the stores and there used to be maybe one Costco, every 2 big towns, right? And now every big town's got one, and now some medium-sized towns have got one. So stores like this sell their eggs for this, but for the listed price, and then they have a permanent coupon thing for members or whatever. Or if you're a Kroger's,
right.
If you get Kroger's gas,
they bring you back with the card.
It's literally half that. And so all of these prices, the $4 eggs are $2. The $2 eggs are $1. That's the point. Is that they
are serially dishonest. They play on the fact that obviously not all of us are going to know everything and know all the ins and outs. And again, this is where my critique all the time of mainstream media comes in, because they get away with this. It's people like you and me that call them on these things. Right. Mainstream media say, well, he claimed that, blah, 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 blah. The other side claimed that. And some media's been getting better. Some have been pushing them, and some of the corporate media has been getting better. But
that's right.
A lot of this really is the fact that they know they can fudge facts like that. People won't know. They can lie. He'll never get called on it by mainstream media, so he can get away with it. The other day, to give you another example, and I want to be very clear with people, I don't just live in the same state as J.D. Vance. I don't just live in the same city as J.D. Vance. I live in the neighborhood next to his house in 5 minutes. So he pulled off one of these things where he...
because his main residence is in Virginia.
He's in Alexandria, Virginia. But the one that when he comes in here with a helicopter and annoys the shit out of all the people around him that have Harris Walls signs out. And so when he's actually there and playing Mr. Ohio, his fake, thing, and I mean, I'm just telling you, he did something about how expensive gas was recently too. And so I know that if he's in Ohio at any given time, he's going to one of the places in the neighborhood, because I saw him at a store in the neighborhood, sadly, like a few, it was a couple months ago now. And
is dropping through the floor, and you've got all this leftover oil on the market because everybody was making up for what was removed from Russia, and everybody realized they didn't need it. There's plenty of oil in circulation, and the price of it is going to fall through the floor next year.
The price will continue to come down unless they're gouging you, is what you're saying.
Yes, and it won't even matter. They won't be able to gouge because everybody will be chasing the last dollar available. And so when Trump is saying, I'm going to cut your energy costs in half next year, it's because he knows there is going to be a 40% drop next year, no matter who's in charge, no matter what policies even in California.
And it's also because he just says shit, as you know. Like, isn't he also going to fund childcare through tariffs?
Right.
Apparently he is, because as we know, that means
with
when you put a tariff on Chinese products, the Chinese pay us so that we can then use that money for childcare. Or alternatively, if you've ever studied tariffs, it's completely fucking different. It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it's just insane.
I mean, you're right. He may be saying that because he knows that, but I'm not even sure. That may be giving him too much credit, Hal. I just think he says it like he says anything else. Like he says, women are depressed and unhappy. They're not going to think about abortion when I'm president. I'm just going to take care of them, like he said in that fucking post of his. Like he just says bullshit.
Yes, I agree. But I know that some of the time he hears his bullshit right before he walks on stage from somebody around him.
Some advisor,
what we're hearing is his interpretation of what he barely understands. Now, let me show you this video of J.D. Vance in the store with the eggs.
Nice to meet y'all. Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hold on.
What's up, man? How are you? Good to meet you. What's your name, sir?
Raymond. Oh my God.
Okay. All right. God bless you, Raymond. Thank you so much.
By the way, he does this okay all the time now because that woman said, he said, I'm J.D. Vance, I'm running for vice president. And she was like, okay. And so now he has the word fucking okay stuck in his head, like living rent free.
This way? Okay.
You want conspiracy theories about, I'll let you play it.
Yeah.
Most of the press, you just turn around. We get clear out this area.
Yeah. Let's do it. just clear out this for guys. Thank you.
Come on, guys.
Yeah. God bless you, man.
Whatever. I believe he is cybernetic life. And I do believe he's the first cybernetic organism that has been successfully created. I think Peter Thiel, who's been doing and I've got stuff to back this up. Peter Thiel has been spending millions, tens of millions on research on how we can that's the tech bro authoritarian theory,
right,
that we can get beyond life. Life won't matter anymore. I'm sure the theocrats in their party love that. And that we will become, all of us will become cyborgs. And so we can live forever. And just because of his clear charisma, the Riz, if you will, and obvious personality skills and small talk, I'm going to go with, I think he's their first cybernetic organism. He doesn't know things that regular people should know.
Sure.
He doesn't understand how to
He's definitely a
interact with
beta
people.
form.
I do. I mean, he's definitely, he's that one you throw away because it's like, we failed on that fucking one.
He's not,
it's like when they made the first... It's like when they made the first Data on Star Trek, and he was probably stabbing people to death, and they just threw him out, and they're like, "We need another one." That's what he is. Yeah.
On top of that, of course, I think it maybe makes sense. I don't know much about Peter Thiel and his sexual proclivities, but let's just say he has a youth pastor fetish, and he was like, maybe he just made him as a first-gen sex doll. It's hard to say, but let me finish playing this.
Well, then you get two for the price of one. You learn how to live longer yourself by creating a cybernetic organism that you implant in Congress, and you get a little hanky-panky. So really, you're all set up.
Yeah. It's a Operation Reach Around. But let me play the rest of this, and then I want to remind everybody. This is Cliff Schechter. He's got a show called Cliff's Edge. They post videos on the regular. Subscribe to his channel. But this is and
some of those videos even have Hal in them. You should know.
That's right.
So I mean,
these
you can't go wrong.
And I want to say, totally organic moment in a grocery store with JD Vance, who is the most personable candidate we've had since, I don't know, since Dan Quayle went potato shopping. Yeah, here we go.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. No, you're fine. All right, guys. Now here, I'm going to talk for like 3 minutes. Can you guys act like normal kids for 3 minutes? Not going crazy? All right. First of all, it is wonderful to be here. Misael and Angelica, thank you so much for having us. Thank you for your incredible business, and thanks for being great leaders here in the community. It's a great place, and we're thrilled to be here.
By the way, that means it's a pre-screened MAGA business.
I think, unfortunately,
where did he say he is, by the way? Versailles?
He doesn't say. I don't like.
I thought he said
he's
there.
in Kentucky,
Okay,
like Versailles, Kentucky.
There's a Maine, there's a Kentucky, there's a Ohio. There's a lot of and they always, of course, we as Americans, we don't want to say it like the French.
Versailles.
So like, Versailles.
Don't get me started. I just talked to Summer this morning about how Jose Diaz-Balart, when a Spanish word comes up, he's like all in on the pronunciation, like Guatemala. But if I say Guatemala or Guatemala, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? But Chinese words literally change based on the tone, but none of them are saying Beijing. It just drives me crazy. So
here, things are way too expensive. And they're way too expensive because of Kamala Harris's policies. I mean, look, yes, buddy, you want some eggs? Yeah. Well, let's talk about eggs, because these guys actually eat about 14 eggs every single morning. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean,
whoa. We'll be careful about this. Eggs, when Kamala Harris took office, were short of $1.50 a dozen. Now,
by the way, generic white eggs, the cheapest, not organic. Like they're picking the low end of the scale.
Put it this way: those eggs are much more. These holding are much more organic than he is.
Yeah.
A dozen eggs will cost you around $4 thanks to Kamala Harris's inflation.
By the way, it says $2 right there over his right shoulder, and the organic
probably
ones are
cover
$4.
that when you lie. Yeah.
Plus, you're holding 2 dozen of the reason it's $4 is because you're holding 2 dozen in your hand in a giant platter.
Plus, Pennsylvania actually has seen some of the worst grocery price increase.
Hold on. Yeah. Hold on a second.
Of the entire nation, and again, it's because she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Explosion Act. I think we want Pennsylvanians to be able to afford groceries. We want our young families to be able to buy food at a reasonable price at the grocery store. And the only way to do that is to get back to common sense economic policies and fire Kamala Harris. This is a person who's presided over $1,000 increase in monthly expenses. Just to afford the same life you could have afforded 3.5 years ago, it costs you over $1,000 a month here in Pennsylvania. We can do so much better. We certainly will. And as the father of a couple of kids who eat a whole lot, we certainly need to do better for the next generation.
This at the
God
end.
bless you guys. Thank you.
right, thank you guys.
I don't think we're going to buy 24 eggs, though.
Did you see that? I don't think we're buying 24 eggs, though. Like, motherfucker, you just said they eat 14 every fucking morning.
Even though he just said they eat 14 a day. So
you weirdo.
Either his math really sucks or he's just a lying sack of shit. I think it's the latter.
Yeah, I think so, too.
But I'm going to say before we leave, I think if he's going to, sit there and try to attack Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, although at least he's smart enough, unlike Donald Trump, to know who he's running against and not be like, Joe Biden sucks. Because Trump, of course, is just still pissed at Biden.
Right.
He might want to explain to us, if you look at pictures from him from like 4 to 6 months ago before he was picked, and you look at him now, clearly Kamala Harris has brought down the price of Ozempic. So maybe he should thank her for that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, but that's one of the drugs. We'll talk about this at another time about the big pharma fallacy, when there are actually like 6 giant pharmaceutical companies that are all fighting against each other. So the idea that they collude together is sort of in line with the idea that they, beyond regular price fixing on insulin, which the country should make itself.
I just was making an obnoxious joke because it popped into my head.
Understood. and
it wasn't based on anything else but an absolute loathing for this guy, because obviously his vice president.
Oh, they're for the world destruction that Trump would bring.
And then they'll make him a cybernetic organism too. Okay, I'm out.
Not kidding. Okay, talk to you later. Thank you so much, Cliff Schechter, everybody. Cliff's Edge. Check it out. Subscribe. You're awesome. And I will see you soon, my brother.
Take care, bud.
Yeah, there we go. And Tara Dublin rocks joining us, waiting in the wings. Greatly appreciate it. Thanks again to Cliff. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Cliff Schechter. Cliff's Edge. Check it out. And then, of course, TaraDublinRocks.com, site of where, of all things Tara Dublin, including her book, The Sound of Settling, which is available here, and this is my own personal transcribed version of it. It says something about I'm not letting people see, because it's mine and it's mine alone. So I have to have some privacy in this business, some moment to myself. But thank you so much for that. I'm not hearing a I'm not getting a mic signal from you, dear. Yep, it's not. Hold on. I will see if I can mess around with the audio settings on this end. It says iPhone mic. Oh, goodness. Am I getting a green screen? Is there some sort of... Are we getting, did I disappear? What happened? Oh, wall of green. That's very strange. Hold on. I'm going to go back to here and see what that is. It's very strange. We don't know. Go back to Tara, see if this pops her back in. I don't see audio coming from your end, dear. So I think it's your mic. Deep state attack. Deep state attack. Okay. Buffering green. We don't know. Hold on. I will start this up again. This it says I'm sending it out. It says I got plenty of signal here. I'm going to try and go back to this. Anything? Nope. Can you hear me now? Because I see that green, but it doesn't look like it's coming from my end. That's not a signal coming out of my software. I don't know what the heck that is. That's some crazy business. Oh, to restream this. And there we go. And I still don't see audio coming from you, but I will remedy that. Hold on. Let's see. I'm going to go to audio settings and then iPhone mic. So it's using the iPhone microphone is what it says. I'm going to request you to use that. I'm going to choose this.
Hi. Hello.
It works. Hey.
Sibilance.
Ta-da. Look at that. Sibilance. Sibilance.
Now you have to see me.
Yes, that part. That part I'm working on. That just takes me an extra second. And apparently, we're being attacked.
The headphones in. This is me just yelling right now. Shall I put in the headphones? What will happen? Will I boot myself if I put my headphones in?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. The issue is that there's construction going on here, and you might hear it.
No, your phone isolates out that thing. That's not a problem at all. So you're good.
Earbuds in, or do you hear me okay?
Yeah. And let's see.
You'd like to see me. Yes. I put makeup on and everything.
I know. I'm working on it. Hold on. There you are. Okay, close. We got that. Excellent. And dink, there she is.
Hi.
Yay. Yeah, excellent. Okay, good. Yay.
All right.
So, welcome.
Right, now,
how are you? Good to see you.
Noisy, and we'll put these in, which I don't think will make a fuckload of difference, but we'll try.
It honestly, if it would only be for you, because we can hear you just fine, and there is no. See that these new iPhone-y things, they've got major technical advancements that allow you to isolate the voice and kick off everything else. Pretty nice. Pretty nice.
All right.
Yeah, built on that whole driving in traffic, talking on your phone when you shouldn't be kind of a thing. Much like
Can you hear the industrial saw?
Nope.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm delighted. Let's fucking go. All right.
It's beautiful.
Hi.
So, hi.
Friends. We're only 10 minutes late. That's fine. It's okay, Cliff. It's all right.
Oops. Hold on
I
one
wrote
second.
myself a note that says don't interrupt.
We dropped for a second, and there we go. Something. Oh, Restream had an attack. That's it.
Toast. Sibilance.
Sibilance.
Check.
Facebook, it says streaming. Yep. Okay. So we should be good on all sites in theory. And I think we're going out, and we never have a problem on the Insta going straight to it. That's a fascinating part.
Hi, Instagrams. Please follow me because I don't have enough followers on the Instagram.
There you go.
I don't. I have a fraction of the followers I have elsewhere on Instagram. But currently, Instagram seems to be unhappy with me and won't let me respond to anybody's posts until September 25th because I tend to write things that Instagram doesn't like.
Well, it's not that you write things that no. It's not that you write things that Instagram doesn't like, because Instagram, just like Meta and Facebook, their entire business model is based on angry backs and forths. And
really let it go then.
Right, but it's the language you use in the process that I think is the thing.
Oh, not the F -- word.
Yep. Yeah. That the Autobots assemble is becoming a thing. It really is. And so when they try to do the tamp down, they do it poorly. Their bots are pretty slapdash. So I would say the other thing is try this. If some of your stuff gets bounced, reload it same way, but put like periods between each letter on a couple of the bad words, or just the first letter of it and the rest of it. Put like a slash or another thing, and you'll be amazed how suddenly your stuff gets online. There you go. I'm just saying. Yeah. Super. And Linda in the chat wants to know where you got your shirt.
Yeah. Love being suppressed by the man. Right. Anyway, hi, how are you? What's new? What's happening?
I'm good. So we had somebody a bunch of people in the chat are asking where you got your shirt because they love the Kamala Cat shirt.
This was gifted to me, but if you go on the Google and put in Kamala Cat Lady shirt, this will pop up. Kamala Cat Lady shirt. You should be able to find this in various shirts, and you should get this. They'll have it on Etsy and a whole bunch. Sure. People are. This is not an official campaign shirt. It's just it's representative of who I am as a Kamala Harris cat lady / Swiftie over 50. I'm not childless though. I'm just child free, and that neither of my children live with me anymore because they are adult humans who can function on their own because they were raised by parents who love them. So, and yes, they came out of my own body. I'm not a step parent. I'm a real parent because there are people who think that step parents aren't real parents, and fuck those people. JD Vance. It's fine.
All right. And chat room, I apologize. You might have to reload your pages. That may be the element of it, because it is not buffering on my end. I am not losing. I'm not getting a signal on my end in the software or what's going out. Like I'm going out at 6,000 kbps. So if there's something going on, it's happening in YouTube world.
I don't know how things work.
No, it has nothing to do with that. I am, however, going to record the show from this point forward in case I'm annoyed by what it posts later. But Twitch is doing just fine. Everything should reset itself. But I feel like it's more of the sites themselves. It's not. Yeah.
Are we being by the man? Does Elon know where I am right now? Like he's not suppressing me enough on fucking Twitter?
Yes.
I can't wait. He's going down so hard. First of all, I'm only calling him Leon from now on. That's his name. Because Trump, remember when Trump called him Leon? Yeah. Which happened when you were here in Portland. Yes. That was beautiful.
Yeah, so, it was literally I walked out on stage and he'd just done it. And just like, and this will kind of dovetail hopefully forward for Restream kicked off. And it is, so there's obviously a Restream issue is what's happening. Something is going, now it's back and it's fine. So somebody attacked Restream, which is my site that sends me out through the rest of the interwebs. And and it seems to, it's almost like the people over at Restream recognized it and just flipped a switch. So it seems to be back on normal again. Yeah, it's sending stuff out. I'm still getting a fair signal, but it's at 6,000 kbps. So there we go.
Okay.
Anyways, there's a lot. We should be all right. Again, it will start repopulating.
Send up a flare if you can't, kids. We'll
right.
I'm just sitting here, so
right. So I will. I'm going to, in future, if this, because Restream keeps getting attacked, I've had this happen a few times, and it seems to be happening more and more with them, and all that kind of stuff. Good times. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. 312 down to 312 up to 3K. Yeah, there's something's going on over at Restream. That's what's happening. I can see the stuff going through it that buffers it and all that kind of stuff. You know what it did? You know what? They wanted you to shut that down. Because they don't want anyone to know where Snowden actually is. Right. Or the fact that he's dead. Right. Do you think he's dead? You really think he's no longer alive? Yes. I think they unalived him a bit ago. Yeah. Really? Yeah. That's why you don't see him. That's why he doesn't do video posts anymore. Huh. Yeah. I'm not really that invested in that story. So, okay. Mm-hmm. One less liar lying out into the interverse. Right. That's great. What are they going to do with the rest of the Russian propaganda liars who are being paid? Because you and Cliff touched on that. You talked about how Tim Sefcool makes the videos and gets paid a whole bunch of money in rubles, which he pretends he does. And he's still on there doing it right now. Why isn't he in prison? I would be if I did a treason like that. No, they would. It takes some time. It takes some time. They have to climb the RICO tree of involved in this FARA thing. And I don't know why there's a green screen showing on operators where they're pulling the things going. Hello? That's it, right. I feel so bad for whoever's working at Restream right now, who's like, oh no, we're being attacked. It's because Sparks had Schechter and Terra on in the same day. And so that's what it is. Hopefully. Handle all that truth coming at you all at once. If I spoke Russian, would it be better? I don't know. No, probably not, because you would be saying the same things, but in Russian. Also, I would like to say the people in Twitch are just fine. There's a little bit of buffering that was caused by the freak out on it, but it should be back to normal at this point. Fingers crossed. I feel like most of our discussion can't be seen and heard. It's all right. Anyway, let's talk about factual things. Yes. Okay. So, a couple things. Truth Social stock. As I call it, Truth Sinkhole stock. So as of Thursday, Terra Dublin, Donald Trump can now sell his stock. He said he's not going to do it. However, so he lied about that. How soon before he sells it? Because he doesn't ever tell the truth. So how soon? My favorite line of this whole article. My favorite line is pump and dump scam from the beginning. Pump and dump SPAC scam from the beginning. And also, he's in violation of his original agreement by posting on Twitter, which he's not supposed to be. So, not that I can see his tweets because I'm still blocked. Yeah, he's bailing the fuck out. But I want to say specifically that this is my favorite sentence of the whole article that was on, I think it's from Bloomberg, but it was on Microsoft Start this morning. Trading volume accelerated significantly as the lockup lifted, meaning you can't sell until this point date, but volume accelerated. Oh, did it? Did volume accelerate? Or did a bunch of people go, get the fuck out before it's too late? 14 million shares changed hand on Thursday, and nearly 22 million were exchanged on Friday, far exceeding the 30-day average volume of 8.3 million shares. Now, this is the selling 22, buying 4. Because again, you have to understand, everybody on Thursday and Friday was just getting the fuck out. You can look at the numbers. It's just right. And the other favorite part was this: the company's market capitalization, which crossed $10 billion in March. In March, Donald Trump's Truth Sinkhole was worth $10 billion. The whole thing has shrunk to about $2.5 billion since then. Trump owns nearly 57% of the company's outstanding shares, which as of Monday morning at 10 a.m. are worth less than $1.5 billion. Now, to Donald Trump, that's free money because all he had to do was show up. So as long as that stock is above $5, he's walking away with some level of profit. But everybody else involved in it who was supporting him, the real billionaires and the people who were throwing money his way because he's a fake billionaire, they were all throwing, money from their other investments and their other shit and the fact that they own banks his way. are, let's just say, less inclined to do that. Like his sons are buying the stock for cheap right now because they know if as long as it's above $5, it's worth something to them. And if they can keep it like balanced up, they can take that money out slowly over the next couple of weeks if it doesn't cadaver. So they're trying to artificially inflate it and keep it solid, and before it eats shit again. And it's the other early investors made no such promises, including ARC Global, a sponsor of the blank firm check that took the media public, the SPAC, and United Atlantic Ventures.
Yeah, always was.
Yeah. Two contestants from the Trump reality show, The Apprentice, own UAV. Now, UAV, United Atlantic Ventures, they're the ones who sued, or sorry, ARC was the one that sued because Trump was in breach of their agreement that they should have gotten more shares initially. And they sued to get more of those shares quickly so they could get the fuck out. And so basically, as soon as they won that judgment, they owned 11% of outstanding shares. ARC's stake may have grown after a Delaware judge on September 16th said that he breached an agreement. So as of the 16th, they got a bunch of shares that they should have been owed. Now, they can still sue him because they should have been able to sell those when the price was higher. But he kept them from getting out sooner. Yeah. So hilarious.
What a successful businessman said no one except
fucking brilliant. So yeah, so they bailed out on Thursday night too, and
the second they could. So ETTD, kids. Rick Wilson coined that years ago. Everything Trump touches dies. And whatever money he might make from this is going to. He wants Judge Tanya Chutkan to just throw out the whole January 6th tribunal she's got going on that will be going on for the next few weeks, even up to right before the election. She's not inclined to do that, though. So, again, all of these things that he's freaking coming together all at once, legally, and he's tanking in the polls. And Mark Elias is doing what he can to make sure that no one can actually steal the election in Georgia. And it's all of these things that are happening all at once, and Donald Trump can't choose which distraction to focus on the most. So it's like, the 3-card Monty while juggling is what we're experiencing now, because he's getting hit from all sides, and he doesn't know, he has nowhere to turn. He has no safe space. He's not going to debate Kamala Harris again. He can't get away from the Springfield controversy. And now he's just failing constantly every single day in front of everybody. And it's embarrassing to his ego. And no matter what happens, he's still getting sentenced on November 26th.
Right.
So make sure everyone's aware of that, because no one's really talking about that, and they really should be.
Right.
Among other things like J.D. Vance being a heartbeat away from letting Peter PayPal run this country. I'm not okay with that, at all. So,
no.
Those are things that people need to be talking about too.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm in the scramble of trying to fix what's effectively this weird green screen issue that we have on YouTube right now, just so you know. But we are recording the show, and I will post it full video later on. Just want to be clear.
Everyone, see how cute we are, Hal.
Yeah, I know, and I understand them for missing that or whatever. That said, right. I think that's so very odd. It is a curious thing, and it is definitely something that's like a restream issue at this point. But we will figure it out. Yeah, because it's doubling up.
Just start performing some musical theater. I mean, it's just whatever.
Video to maintain smooth transition. You'll experience buffering. No shit. Let's see. Stream settings. Yeah, there we go. I will. Yeah, just use your ears. Yes, it's considered a podcast this morning. It's hosted by.
Great. I'm so excited. I love when shit doesn't work. It's my favorite.
It's super fun. Yeah.
While we're chatting, though, later on, I'm going to have a nice conversation with our pal Ron about mine own podcast. And so while people are hearing the sound of my voice, perhaps you can drop some suggestions into the chat as to what you would like a podcast from me to look and sound like, because you would be able to eventually see me. while also hearing me. And it's been suggested that I do little hits throughout the day, or I do a show like yours where I interview people, which I enjoy doing. But I'm not entirely sure what I can bring to the sexy liberal universe that isn't already here, besides my presence and my wit and my voice. So we're not trying to reinvent the podcast wheel. I'm just making sure that I can present something that's interesting and will hold people's attention for however long the duration will be. Right. So that's a thing that is happening today that I've been thinking about it, but I just want it to be like what we do. Like I just hang out and talk to people about stuff that matters while making sure